What's going on, everybody? I was just playing a tune just now. It probably predates some of y'all. Mr. Telephone Man, there's something wrong with my life. A lot of y'all don't know anything about that. A lot of y'all don't know anything about that, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Here it is. It's Thursday. How y'all feeling out there? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night to every one of y'all, everywhere you are. We're gonna get to it. You know what I'm saying? The stream is gonna be a little different. Who knows where it goes? But I want to highlight something that I've noticed that I'm gonna just talk about real quick. We have a thing over here in New York. Can't speak for other states, but we have a thing over here in New York. A program that they call, quote unquote, I've always learned it to be something tied with social service, something tied with public assistance, right? Welfare. I remember as a child, I used to always hear the term welfare being hurled around left and right. So you have a group of people who are always in need. All I can speak for is NYC. You got a group of people, it seems like, who have to endure certain levels of hardship and suffering. And in order for them to manage, they seek help with these systems, right? I don't care what side of the political spectrum anyone stands. I don't give a F about any of that. Why is it that the people who work in these institutions, the people who work in these places, in the workplace where folks are applying for Medicaid, some cash assistance, food stamps, the staff treat everyone who are there like they are subhuman. They treat the people like they're inferior. They treat the public, I'm talking the staff in general, the staff that these civil servants, public servants are supposed to provide a service to the community who are in need. This is what they're there for, to provide the service to this vulnerable population. They're treated like they're less than. They're treated like they don't matter. They're treated like you're inconveniencing these workers to do their job. This is what you find in some of these systems. Like, for example, in my capacity, I would have a client who would need to obtain Medicaid or apply for Medicaid or food stamps, and help them navigate through the system. So I would escort my client or whatever, like cash assistance, emergency assistance, something, even, homeless shelter situations. So I would assist my client, go with them, help them navigate through this maze of misery, because it's miserable. These settings, these places are miserable. They're dreadful, right? And the first person you see who greets you, whoever they are, automatically, it could be security, it could be somebody who's there, employee, anyone, excuse me. You're greeted with someone who has the only attitude, and it making you feel like, why are you bothering them? Meanwhile, you're the person who's coming for help. Hi to the viewer. T Gaming said hi, hello. The person, the staff person, the employee greets you in such a cold way where you almost feel bad for being there, even asking them a question. Why is that even necessary? In many cases, these employees, city employees, state employees, even federal, they're 2 paychecks away, right, from being homeless. Many of them are 2 paychecks away from being homeless, but will want to behave in a way that's superior. And don't catch them on a pay week. When you go to these city offices and it's a week that they got paid, they're getting paid, oh, you should see the vibe. Prancing around. This is, you walk in a setting, you walk in an office, you walk in what they call an HRA, Human Resource Administration office. The seating area for the people is probably 100 people in the seating area waiting to be seen by a worker. In the back room, there's nothing but cubicles and desks of all the employees there. They're chilling. Why I say they're chilling? While you're waiting in the back room, while you're waiting in the waiting room to be seen, every so often they come out, they greeting each other. The staff come out and greet staff or security or whoever, not the public, but they'll come out and greet each other, laugh. We'll talk about what they're going to have for lunch, walk slow, right? Take their time in doing everything. Meanwhile, there's 100 people. Most of them are single women. Most of these women have children, crying babies. They're frustrated, cooped up in a room next to 99 or 90 plus other strangers. Don't want to be there. Been there all day. Make you wait while they just prance in and out, back and forth, doing nothing, talking to each other, laughing, jokes. If anybody in the public asks them a question, they're greeted with attitude, this animosity, frowned faces, stern words. And they wonder why the public gets triggered. They wonder why the public has attacked them over the last few decades. Attacked them. To the point where laws have been enacted and put in place to protect these workers, where if you attack the workers, you'll be facing 7 years imprisonment and a felony. I'm not saying any employee should be attacked. I'm not advocating for that. What I'm advocating for is for these workers to exhibit some form of empathy. If you don't care, that's one thing. But while you're supposed to be working under the auspices, under the guidance of some type of municipality, a city government, local government, state government, federal, you can exude some level of professionalism and human decency and some form of kindness. Because at any point, like, people take so many things for granted, it's not even funny. People act as if they're going to be able to live forever, like they'll never get sick. They'll never experience any unnecessary or unforeseen hardship. They'll never go broke. They'll always have a job. They'll always have a roof on their head, or over their head. They'll always be able to eat. People behave like they are superhuman, and they will be alive forever, which that is not the case. At any point in life, things could just change permanently in a split second. Folks don't, these people behave, and I see both sides of the situation. Because it's one thing from watching from one side. Let's say I have a point of view just from the public, and the perception is these people, it's dreadful to walk into these offices looking for help. It's dreadful. That's one perspective from the public. From the staff, because I've also been on the other side as staff, I can understand why it can be dreadful, because it becomes overwhelming, because the problems that the people are bringing, you didn't create. You're just trying to help them solve, or not even solve, maybe solve, but also manage. You're trying to help them find a place to live. You're trying to help them find a way so that they can feed themselves and their children, right? You're trying to connect them to proper health care, et cetera, and multiply that times a number, it becomes overwhelming. And so I can see how it can stress the workers out. They can face burnout, but it still doesn't necessarily mean that it gives people the right to dehumanize those who are in need. It's crazy. You have certain people who can't even do for themselves, like literally can't. Again, this is not about politics. I don't care what your politics are, because certain individuals are incapable of taking care of themselves. Adults who can't pay their bills, can't feed themselves, right? You have these systems out here. They could barely manage on their own. They could barely manage on their own. End up in a bad situation. On top of the fact that they can't manage on their own, they end up in a bad situation where now they need assistance. They need somebody who can help take them to these different places, who can advocate for them, connect them to care, etc., etc., etc. And these individuals behind these desks, behind these glass walls, who are being paid to serve the community. And I'm not talking about helping people who are grifting. I'm not talking about helping folks who lie, who pretend that they're disabled just so that they can get a check in perpetuity. I'm not speaking about those cases. I'm talking about legitimate situations. And to be met with vitriol and added is unconscionable to me. Because people don't even put themselves in the position where, what if that was your relative? They don't care. Folks, they could be cold and callous, and for what? I remember when I worked in the past for the city in different agencies, different capacities, I always kept in my mind, exhibit some kind of human decency and kindness to the public, because I knew what it was on the opposite end. Even living vicariously through others, I knew what it was on the opposite end, to feel less than, made to feel subhuman. And for what? Because the problem is, when you're still in the city, like for example, New York City comprised of 5 boroughs, very concentrated, millions of people out here, each borough over 1 million population, blah, 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 blah. You're working. A lot of people don't live far from where they work. The same communities that are in need, some people live in those same communities. So when you're out here posturing in your job, right? You have this air of superiority, and you exhibit that, and you make the people feel bad, in a sense where they're disrespected. And when you leave, I've had situations, right? First of all, this is why it's important to show respect and give respect. Just it's important. It goes a long way. For example, I'm working with a prison population, right? In the past, I was working. I'm not currently working. And so in my capacity, I'm helping them, connect them in the community. When they hit the town, they're not homeless. They got medical care. They got money in their pocket. Got appointments. Setting them up. Right now, this is the prison population. So these people, but it's not just the prison population. It's the sentenced population, right? So they coming out. They do their time, but they coming out. It's not the ones that violated probation or parole, and then they got to go upstate and do prison time. No, these people is different. County, less than a year, doing a bullet or less. When they come out, they're good. I'm living where I'm serving, right? I'm living where I'm serving in real life. And some of these people are incorrigible. They're not nice. Like the inmates, some of them are not nice people, bro. Some are whatever, they cool, whatever, but I give respect. Boom. Some of them are not nice, but I'm dealing with them in my capacity, working. I go about my business on my off time while I'm not at work. And I'm out here doing what I do, living my life. You don't think I bumped into some of them in the street? You know what I mean? Like, bump into them in the street. And what's funny is, in all the times that I've seen some of them in the street, it's like they see me and I see them, and the minute they see that I see them, they pretend like they don't even know me. And we talking about people inside. While they're inside, it's a whole different personality, right? While they're inside, they're at home, quote unquote. They're running things. They are. The kids would say, "Oh yeah, that's one of them ones," right? While they're inside the cage. But when you take them out of the cage and put them outside, and I'm out here with them, and they're in the milieu, in the public, in the community, in society, in the town, they see me and I see them, and it's nothing. It's quiet. And it's not about because I'm tough. It's just this, I don't know what it is. I can't even speak about it. I can't even understand it because it's just something that I observe from the position in those encounters. But my point in bringing all this was, if I pretended, if I behaved in such a way where I made them feel inferior, where I made them feel like they were pieces of trash, where I made them feel like they were dog shit, invariably I'd be setting myself up in the community if I bump into any one of them. Because these people are active with it too. They're actively in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Like that's a whole nother topic to talk about. But they're in and out of jail, in and out of jail, in and out of jail. So it's nothing for, they're not afraid. This is what they do. They actually, like I said, feel more comfortable being in jail than in the world. So if I treated them like garbage, right, as a city employee, as a government employee, etc., what do you think would happen if I catch them in the street? It's either I would keep the same energy, but I don't know how they would act. I'm putting myself at risk. Because I look at the charges, yeah, although it's whatever, they're not doing long time, they're doing a lot of short time, but they got background in this, man. I'm not of that, but they are. And I don't know who they know. In other words, I'm setting myself up for disaster because I couldn't display compassion, human decency, and kindness. Because I thought I was better than them. Yo, man, like, pay your taxes. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing this, man? Get off these drugs, blah, blah, blah. Yo, you should be doing right. You should be doing the right thing, this and that. You don't know everybody's problems. Everybody's history, everybody's situation you can't apply your thesis of whatever well-being across the board for everybody. It don't work like that. And that's the part of the system that we have going on here in New York City that hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. Like for the better, like it's changed, sure. But when I'm talking about the culture and how people, you walk into a DMV, you walk into a Department of Motor Vehicles, you feel like you bothering every employee you encounter in those settings, bro. You walk into a emergency placement, a shelter system. You feel like as a person in need that you are bothering, you are disturbing every single staff person you encounter. You understand? You understand how crazy that is? Not knowing your situation, not knowing what took place, not knowing like life handed you a certain deck of cards that's providing you with a great deal of hardship, and you just trying to resolve your situation. People don't care, y'all. You understand? Like some families deal with domestic violence, right? Children involved. Then you got children's services coming in the situation, in the mix. Removing children out of dangerous situations, placing them in foster care. You walk into those offices. You walk into those offices. It's only until the last 10 years the whole DV thing was reformed, but you walk into any of those settings, even children's services, the adults that are walking into you walking in, it's like, oh, you guilty before proven innocent, because these children had to endure heinous acts, heinous levels of abuse, unimaginable in some cases, man. Many times those cases are unfounded, but those that are substantiated is nasty work. It'll make you sick to your stomach. And that, I could understand why some people, they just become workers, become so desensitized, because you have to see all and deal with it all the time, right? Constant, constant, constant. It still shouldn't make you lose sight of why you're there, though. Yeah, you're there to earn a paycheck, but you're also there to help people who are in need. It's a thankless job, but guess what? It's still necessary, right? Still necessary. I'm look. It's hard because like when I've walked into a lot of police precincts, right? I can't imagine, just because of where I grew up, and I'm not saying my place is special, but I could people. Hardship is universal. Hardship is universal, right? I don't appreciate corruption, right? When I walk into these precincts, and I've walked into these precincts, you feel it. You feel it in the air because of the nature of what they do. It's in the freaking air. Like, it's like when you walking into a jail or a prison, it's in the air, undeniable. Like, yo, whatever, or even a courthouse. You're walking in and you experience how mortal you truly are. Whatever grandiose ideology you had about yourself dissipates. You walk into a precinct, you're minuscule. You walk into a courthouse, you're minuscule. You walk into a jail, a prison, you are tiny. Whatever, just all of your ego, braggadocious bravado deflates instantly, unless you are out of your mind, unless you are literally out of your body. But I gotta say though, When years back, when they were talking about certain things like, oh, police, this and that, I don't stand for brutality, police brutality. That's that I'm not for that. But I tell you, like, they're needed. Even in what I do, they're needed. They're very much needed, like, for sure. I don't care what people got to talk about, because sometimes folks talk and they don't have anything to go by as far as like experience, life experience to show them certain things. They just hear some crap from somebody, a perspective from someone, and have no experiential anything to go by based on whatever they've seen, they've experienced, they've felt themselves. You know how many times I've been in situations, just work-related situations, that I'm glad police were involved. 100%. I'm not gonna call a teacher. I'm not gonna call a nurse, some kind of social worker to come save me from some kind of doom and impending danger. Like, who I'm calling, the guy who makes sandwiches, you know, Ak from the bodega makes sandwiches, from the deli, Habibi. Who am I calling? Nah, yo. And number two, I have no issues with them, because listen, man, I don't deal with anything nefarious, anything illegal, none of that. This is not even for that. I'm not of that. I don't care about none of that. I will tell on everybody. I'm telling on you. Yeah. Do something crazy in front of me and trying to act like I'm supposed to be a part of that. I'm telling. And feel no way about it. Drop a dime. I'm dropping a quarter. I'm dropping a $50. I'm dropping a Susan B. Anthony coin. I'm dropping it. I'm letting the world know. But that's not what I pay taxes. Yeah, civilian. Yeah, that's what I do. Family guy, but working in capacity to serve the public at the same time. And while I'm serving the public, I don't behave like a piece of shit. To act like I'm holier and greater than everybody else. That's BS to me. These people got to change their ways, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, my parents fell on hard times. And I remember at 10 years old, I'm going to these welfare offices with my parents, and these people giving them a hard time, making them feel like, and us feel like, we're livestock. Like, we don't matter. Like, what the hell are we there for, bothering them? This is one of the worst times in my life growing up, I remember. And that was just there to help them get certain things in order again, to then get out the system, which is what happened. But during the time that they had to, seek help, they called it, when you had to meet the social worker in person, they called it face to face. Oh, you got a face to face meeting, this and that. You go to this income maintenance center. That's what they used to call those things back then in the 80s. Income maintenance center. Right? Same shit. You go over there and there's nothing but poverty, misery in these nondescript locales. No matter where the office is at, you notice the office because they all look dreadful. All of them. All of them look dreadful. People in there pissed off, babies crying, dudes are upset. Whatever dudes are there, they're pissed at it. Whatever men are there, they're upset that they are there. Mostly women. on one side, and then versus the entire staff or whatever setting, and people are just like being called every now and then. Folks gotta do better, man. And then 40 plus years later, it's the same scenario. As far as the culture and how you're made to feel like you don't matter. And I'm watching these people, the staff, and I'm watching it. I'm like, yo, I'm old enough to be a father. When I had to walk through some of these halls and these places, right, with my past coming up, I'm remembering how they made us look, made us feel, and remembering even witnessing social workers get slapped the F up from the blow, just like that. We talking 89. Blow, the people were just like, yo, what you said? Blow. And your kids witnessing this take place, you're like, yo, why are you even here? But fast forward to now, and you're watching these people now, they exhibit the same energy, the same aura, the same consciousness that these institutions have fostered. You walk in there, you better be careful, because you might not walk out with being who you're supposed to be. You just conform.